All right, now you would permit me, because for this one, I will be a student here to sit down and listen. Some people call him the king of rental income properties. Some say he's a cash flow entrepreneur. I'd ask what all of that means, but Tade Cash is in the house. You are welcome. It is great to have you. Your name has been everywhere. I don't know, but I know I've heard the name a number of times in a number of places. Wow. And I was thinking you'd be dressed in cash or something. But it is great to have you. You are welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so today we're talking about wealth education. Why is it important that anybody needs to be educated when it comes to wealth? Because that is not a course. You can't go to school and say you want to study wealth, as it were. But it is something worth and should be studied. What are your thoughts on all of that?
All right, thank you very much. So education is a weapon. So there are three kinds of, in the world that we live in today, there are three kinds of education. There's education of the poor, there's education of the middle class, and there's education of the rich, all right? So most of the time, when we go to the conventional school, all we are being taught is the education of the middle class, okay? Go get a job, get a degree. I went to school just like every other person. I had a first class studying economics. But the truth of the matter is, in all my days of studying economics, nobody ever taught me about my personal economy, you know, and so all you're being told is about the national economy of a nation, the global economy of a nation, but all those things are very important. But what is most important to me is my personal economy, how I can navigate, and that is what education of the wealthy is all about. So there are all forms of education, but most of the time, it's not enough to just be educated. What are you educated about? You know, what kind of education do you have? Because half-truth is worse than error.
Interesting. So what are the steps when it comes to wealth education does anybody need to take to understand wealth?
Okay, that's true. The first step you need to take for wealth education is what I call the mindset. Mindset is very mindful, you know, because most of the time, most of us, your mind will match your money, all right? Your mind will match your money, and your money will match your mind. So that means your money you have today is a mirror of the kind of mind you have developed. And most people's stomach is more obvious than their mind, all right? And so we spend most time on every other thing apart from our mind. And this is what I say to people. Your mind is more important to you than anybody in your life. Because if you lose your mind, you are not useful to anybody in your life, not even yourself. All right, so what that means is you have to guard your mind with all diligence. You have to guard your mind, and what you feed with your mind is very important, because this is what I say to people. The mind of man is the mouth of God. You know, so when you develop your mind, it's going to help you. So mindset is key. The things that you put in your mind, the things that you expose your mind to, the kind of education you are deliberate about in putting into your mind will literally change you.
You know, you say something is the first step. This is a step that many people think is all of it, especially in this country.
Exactly.
You think that when the mind, but you have mentioned that it is the first step. That means there are other steps.
Exactly.
Let's move on.
So the second step that you need to develop is as important as the first, but the first is the foundation. The second is like the column, you know, and what is that column? Is a skill set. Wow. All right, so skill creates income. Skill creates income. So if you don't have skill, many people are mind kind of people. You know, you will make confessions. You will say, oh, I'm going to make it. I've made it. I've made it. Or people will even say, oh, you know, I just read a book right now. The book is so amazing. Man, I love this author. Have you not noticed that there are many bestsellers, but many people are still not making best of their life? Why? Because they have read the book, they have the mindset, but they have never turned the mindset to a skill set. So because what you have read must be implemented for a skill to be built. So most people are not building the skill that will turn the mind they have developed into a reality. So you need to build a skill set. You need to have courage, because you see, courage is a skill set as far as wealth creation is concerned. You need to know how to negotiate. You know, negotiation is a skill set. You need to know how to collaborate. It's a skill set. You need to know how to communicate. It's a skill set. You need to know how to use your mind. It's a skill set. Now, most times people don't know how to do all of these things, so they don't develop the skill set.
You know, the skills you're talking about, some people might be thinking that, shouldn't it be something like maybe coding, those kind of skills, maybe learning how to barb or something? But you're talking about skills that have to do with interpersonal relation,
exactly,
or dealing with other people, as it were. Those are the kind of skills that you're talking about here.
Because you have learned some skill. Many people have technical skill, but they don't know how.
Vocational skills and all
they don't know how to work with people. And this is what I say: money comes from people, through people, by people. So
you have to learn how to.
So money doesn't fall from heaven. Money comes from people. So if money comes from people and you don't know how to deal with people, you can be so talented and be stranded. And that's what happened to a lot of people. So the third one that is as important as the second is like the roof of the whole process. It's called a tool set. That means the vehicle in which you are using. Many people are working hard, but they are working hard on what has stopped working.
Whew, very true. Very true.
So what happened is the vehicle you are using is as good as the skill set that you build. So because you can be working hard on something, but what you're working hard on is not more working, and that's what happens. So I tell people, when it comes to working, you must understand 3 fundamentals. Number 1 is what are you working on? You know, what you're working on is important. Number 2, who are you working with? Okay, is as important as what you're working on. And the third thing is how hard you are working on those 2 things. So most people put hard work as first. Hard work is very important, but is the base of your work. Because the first thing about your work is what you are working on. The next thing is who you are working with, all right? So I tell people, who you work with is more important than where you work. Because the truth is, if you are working, the people you are working with determines how far you can go. You know, my organization will say that who you stay with determines who will stay with you. So when you understand these dynamics, your life begins to change. So you need to develop the vehicle, okay? What kind of vehicle are you using for your wealth? What kind of business, what kind of investment are you doing? You know, so I tell people that it's not everybody that sleep pays. So sometimes when you are sleeping, sleep is expensive. For instance, sometimes when you are sleeping, it can be effective. So when someone sleeps and when you are sleeping, someone is paying you, that sleep is a rest. But when you are sleeping and you are paying, that's a debt, okay? So many a time, people don't understand this narrative and it creates a lot of issues in their life. So you need to develop vehicles, investment, real estate, you know, business.
You know, yeah, let's talk about that because a lot of people will say, okay, I have 500,000, 1 million. Oh, yeah, where do I put it? How do I go about all of this? I might not have so much to buy a property on my own. How do they start? Just to the layman there.
Okay, so basically, you can always invest, but this is what I say: investment is not risky, but investors are. Okay, so when you don't understand the conversation we are having right now, many people easily jump into wanting to say, oh, I have this money, I want to make some level of investment. What kind of education do you have first and foremost?
That's the most important thing.
That is the most
important. Invest in your mind.
Yes,
in yourself.
First and foremost, if you don't invest in your mind, your money will become a waste because your money follows your mind. So if your mind is not properly developed, every other thing you are doing will just be a waste because we don't see opportunities with our eye. We see opportunities with our mind.
Wow. Tade Cash, if we had 2 hours, we'll continue with this. But we have to go. I know people can hit you up on social media to you know.
Exactly.
What,
so you can follow me on Instagram at official Tade Cash, on Facebook at Tade Cash.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
A short one. We'll cut this clip, and I know I'll go over it and over again.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you.
Same here.
All right. Hope you're able to pick 1 or 2 of that. We'll take a time out now. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a bit.